Hello, welcome. Flipping hot today. And one of my customers, Dale, has very generously donated some ciders for me. So these are from the Miners Plant Brewery. Hello, the cat's in here. MYNERS cider@gmail.com. And they're also on Facebook, MYNERS cider, under Facebook. No website, no other contact details. I have one. It's bloody tasty. So basically we've got a dry, we've got a Winston. Winston is an English, I haven't got the right glasses on, cultivar of domesticated apple, which was first named Winter King, because of its availability in winter, but was renamed Winston in 1944 or 1945 after Winston Churchill. Well, we look forward to that one. It's got a nice Union flag on the top there. Look at that. And we've got a sweet cider. Not generally into sweet cider, so we'll start with that one. We'll give it a go. Anyway, I shall put the Facebook link in the description below this, and then you guys can go and have a look for yourself. Now, because it's a cider, and I opened it with a 1/4-inch chisel, because it's a cider, I'm going to drink it out of a glass. I'm not going to be a complete heathen. So we'll try this one first of all. This is a sweet one. Oh, it comes out nice and clear. Look at that. That's nice, that. And they've been in the fridge for about a week as well, these, waiting for me. Ah, yes. Oh. It is sweet, but it's not sugary sweet. It's got a lovely cider tang to it. Oh, that's quite nice, though. Oh, I quite like that. Thanks, Dale. Right, okay. So let's get on with business here. It's been a month or two since I've done one of these. I think first and foremost, if you've not been in one of these sessions before, I think the standard intro is that I have absolutely no intention to offend anybody in any of these ramblings. They're just my views, my opinions. As far as I'm aware, and last time I looked, I'm allowed to have opinions. None of them are offensive to me, or to most normal people, to be honest. And so I think really, first and foremost, if you find yourself offended, these are going to be you problems and not me problems. So yeah, if you're of a disposition where you're likely to get offended, please fuck off. Similarly, if you think that cheese has got more rights than, let's say, a white middle-aged bloke, then yeah, fuck off. And if you think that all of the world's problems are because of one particular element, one segment of the demographic, i.e. white middle-aged blokes, then fuck off. Right, now we've got that out of the way, we can get on with business. So, last time, I really irritated some people in the last one. You'll have to watch the last one, because I don't understand how people got irritated. But anyway, I didn't manage to answer Chris Sherry's questions at the end of the last episode, because it overran a bit. So let me hit Chris's questions first of all, which he very, very kindly submitted to me end of last year. But I've got to be in the right mood to do these things. So I've got to have the time as well. So, UK car shows, not the TV ones. What amuses you about them? Silly, odd club displays at the NEC, or daft theming of cars at local car shows. I saw a guy dressed in the American cop's uniform at one show this year. No prizes for guessing his car. Right, car shows. I am rapidly going off static car shows where you just get lines and lines and lines of cars, more often than not behind some piece of fucking rope, which means you can't get close to them and look, and then there's people sitting on deck chairs in front of them, and the cars are so close you can't get a bloody photograph of them. And if you go and ask them a question, they look at you like you're dirt. Now, I'm not saying everyone's like that at these static car shows, but on the whole, I avoid them. The car shows that I try and go to these days are those that the living shows, the shows where you see things moving around, where you get real enthusiasts, more likely to get real enthusiasts. People are interested in talking about their cars. I don't like one make shows. I'd rather go to a show where there was everything. And I'm more likely to go and talk to the owner of a tatty Morris Ital than I am, let's say, a Ferrari owner. Unless it's a 365 GTB4. 356, 456, or a 365 GT Boot 4. I'll go and talk to them just to say, you lucky bastard. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of, people that dress up for car shows, unless it's something like Goodwood Revival, I don't really understand it. I suppose it fills people's boots. I'm not in any way offended by it. It's just there's so few things I am offended about, which I guess offends other people. But yeah, UK car shows, living shows are the ones I really like. Things like Cop Hill Climb, the Goodwood shows, Revival, and the Festival of Speed. Good fun. But then you also get the Silverstone shows as well. Now, Silverstone, the Classic specifically, has a reasonable mix of cars that are racing, classic cars that are racing, but also the static displays in the middle of it all. Best of both worlds, I suppose. So thank you, good question, like that. The car shows on the telly, they're all shit. They're all made up, it's all faked. Unlike mine are real, which is why I don't get so many viewers, you see. Right, car forums, best and worst. I spent years on forums, I really have. I used to be big on piston heads, but then it all went a bit kind of like, you know, Billy Big Bollocks, so I gave up with that. And then I got into auto shite, and that's just gone so fucking woke, it's unbelievable, so I've given up with that. I contribute to one called the Dark Wob at the moment, Wob, W-O-B, rather than Web, which is an odd place to go to. But the Dark Wob is kind of all of the exiles, and those people are just the auto shite is just shit now. So they venture into there, and I found that place quite amusing. It's unmoderated. And it's a good laugh. But on the whole, I try and avoid forums. I was moderating the Stag Owners Club forum for quite a long time. And honestly, it's a fucking nightmare. You're dealing with a bunch of grown adults, and they behave like 4-year-olds. So I try and help people where I can. People email me questions, people ask questions on forums, and where I can give free advice, I give free advice. And that's the main thing I use forums for. More and more of them just seem to be heading down a particular road of just not interesting me in the slightest. Car magazines of your youth. Street Machine for me. This is Chris said Street Machine. My bedroom wall was plastered with my favourite hot rods. Oddly enough, I wasn't really into cars when I was a kid. I also didn't have that much money either, so I couldn't really afford magazines. I used to go to car dealerships and get brochures. Most dealerships told me to fuck off. Well, they didn't actually tell me to fuck off. They told me to bugger off before they, call me dad, clip me around the ear roll sort of thing. But Vauxhall and Ford and Citroën, they'd all let me take their brochures, and I used to cut the pictures out and stick them on my bedroom wall. My bedroom wall was largely plastered with very, very large posters of Deborah Harry from Blondie. Yeah, I was very much into my Blondie. As I was, crikey, what else was I into at the time? Queen, because I still am into Queen. Various other bits and bobs. If I was to kind of be attracted to a car magazine, it probably would have been something like Custom Car, because they always had lassies sitting on the front of some madly modified machine with their baps out. You can understand the attraction of that for a young man. Yeah, so car magazines, didn't really read them when I was a kid, and I don't read them now. Funnily enough. I went through a phase of reading every single word in Practical Classics, but it's just the same old shit every month. I got bored with it. And then you get the really expensive glossy magazines, and they're 90% adverts. Some of the adverts are really interesting and relevant. The majority of it, it's just money. It's, beer money or cider money. Favourite comedy sketches? Thousands. Break it down to decades. Oh my God. Right. Well, I've been alive. I'm into my 6th decade now. I'm 55. Comedy sketches. I like comedy that is cutting edge. I like it where Monty Python, traditionally, I just absolutely love Monty Python. I love Fawlty Towers. I love Little Britain. When we were allowed to broadcast it, I really liked Little Britain. Only Fools and Horses, I just thought was a classic. I just inspired comedy. Dad's Army, brilliant comedy. Last of the Summer Wine for the first 9 series, maybe 11 series, I don't know. Just really good comedy. What I find amusing now is that when you look back at some of the comedy sketches of the 70s, we're coming into real issues now, which I find very amusing. Certainly Monty Python were able to forecast what was going to happen in this millennia, this current century we're in. Yeah, why do you want to be Loretta Stan? Well, I want to have babies. What? It's just unbelievable comedy. It's you have to watch it. And people will watch it and they say, well, I'm offended by that. Well, fuck off. Don't watch it. But I do like comedy sketches. Most of the stuff from the 70s that I would have liked, I didn't really watch comedy in the 60s because I was only 3 when the 60s finished. But comedies in the 70s that I would have watched. Again, I was 13 by the end of it, so I don't know, probably a lot of it my parents shielded me from, but I've watched 70s comedy shows since. So I don't know, just that kind of genre, I can't really break it down by decades because it tends to be more of a comedy style. I tend not to particularly like single stand-up comics, certainly those that have got a massive inflated ego and hate middle-aged white people. You know who they are. It's all right for them to make a racist comment about, you know, the one that came up this week, which just amuses me so much. Comes from a BBC comedian who basically pointed out that it was, I can't remember the exact words, but it was marvellous seeing a rich white man being taken down by Asians in relation to Boris Johnson being ousted by a bunch of mutinous, backstabbing bastards, in my opinion. I'm not into Boris, I just think that they're mutinous, backstabbing bastards. But no, he pointed that out, and everyone said, well, how is that not racist? And Twitter agrees, it's not racist. Oh, world's gone bonkers. Anyway, I don't really go for that sort of comedy. It's just, I really liked 8 out of 10 Cats. I think Sean Locke, R.I.P., sir, was just, his humour was devastating, dry, just unbelievable. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions there, Chris. Thanks for submitting those. Sorry it's taken me 7 months to get around to answering them. As I say, I've got to be in the right sort of frame of mind really to do these recordings. I am today. I'm enjoying this. I've been restoring a Range Rover door today. Bastard thing, so rusty. Right, then. There's been a load of questions that have come through to me. Some via my website, and some have just been emailed to me directly. A couple have come through as anonymous, but again, I'm not offended. I mean, I might not agree with what they say, but I'm going to fight to the death for their right to fucking say it, which is kind of what I said in my last Beer and Ballcocks session. But basically, this first one is an anon, okay, the name withheld. I'm going to call her, I'm going to assume it's a woman, so I'm just going to call her Karen. If it's not a woman, then it'll be a bloke. I'm still going to call them Karen. So you say this is not political, and then you've just come out with typical right-wing statements. Well, it's actually not even a question, is it? I mean, for fuck's sake. Never mind. Okay, I disagree. Entirely. I don't think I come out with typical right-wing statements at all. I'm not going to shut you down. I value your opinion. It's your opinion. You're entitled to it. I think my opinions, I'm entitled to those too. I don't know. I really don't. Just questions, please, folks, not attacks. I don't care. Right, another one. This one's called, this lady actually called herself Morag. Just came through. White middle-aged privilege, just shut up. Oh, for fuck's sake. I didn't ask to be born. And I think this is my response now. The more curveball. I mean, first of all, Morag, thank you for following the channel. Thanks for watching my last video, which prompted your comment. And thank you for your feedback. I shan't shut up. But you can ask me to shut up. It's one of those things. So silly. So unnecessary. It's one of those things where you're not going to win an argument with people like Morag or Karen, whoever it was. You're never going to win an argument with them because they are so in depth with their own ideas. They're not prepared to accept that anyone else's ideas might be correct, because they're different. And because you're not going to win an argument with them, I often find these days the best approach is actually just to laugh at them. Just going to laugh. It's the most ridiculous thing. Right. Next one. Mike. Hello, Mike. EV are the way forwards, and to argue they are not makes you sound like a complete idiot. I disagree. I don't. I mean, I have got some more questions around EVs because I did raise it in my last Beer and Ballcocks session. And yeah, we'll come back to EVs, Mike, if you don't mind. You might think I sound like a complete idiot. You're either running a business converting everything to EV, or you've been brainwashed into EV being the way forwards, or you're a yogurt knitting fucking lentil muncher. I don't know. Brendan. Hello, Brendan. How would you fix the current Northern Ireland issue? Wrong channel, mate, but it's completely the wrong channel. This is I do Land Rovers and Range Rovers, drink ciders, and how would I fix the current Northern Ireland issue? I'm going to assume that you mean the EU border situation that's been enforced on us by the Brexit situation. And the way I see it, it's very much the EU punishing the good people of Northern Ireland because they don't want Brexit to appear a success. And how would I resolve that? Well, I'd actually invite the EU to just go shit in their hats. I think Boris's approach, rightly or wrongly, was heading in the right direction. He's now been ousted. However, he's still around in October. Do your best, Boris. Now, honestly, EU is about as corrupt as they come, in my opinion. So, that's it. Fuck off with your Brexit EU questions. Brendan. Sorry, I didn't mean to tell you to fuck off there. That was a bit rude, wasn't it? Right, now, James. Hello, James. James has sent me a whole load of information. Really, it was a couple of websites that came out, but also he pointed me in the direction of an article from Volvo that came out pretty much at the same time as I did my last Beer and Ballcocks, saying that there is no cradle-to-grave information. Are you listening, Mike? I'm going to open up the... I'm going to finish on the Winston. I'm going to open the dry next. So pay attention, Mike, because this was on thisismoney.co.uk, the leading financial rag in the UK. And it is quoting one of the Volvo representatives. So it's not been put into some... Oh, that's looking a bit cloudy, isn't it? I'll give it a go, though. Right, I'll look at that in a second. So basically what Volvo has said is they said emissions from making EVs can be 70% higher than petrol models, and it claims that it takes up to 9 years of driving before they become greener, which was my theory in the last kind of episode, that by running a 30-something-year-old Range Rover, and it's going to be 30 next year, so 29, yes, 29. It's 29 years old. So by running a 29-year-old Range Rover on petrol, my question was, when does that become less green than a brand new EV? Well, it would appear, according to Volvo, that it's way greener. Because first and foremost, I've not been out and bought a new bloody car every 3 years, which has had to be shipped across the planet. It hasn't destroyed half the planet in its creation. Because of that, it's honestly, I should be getting carbon credits back from the government. Anyway, back to Volvo. And I'll put a link down below this, pointing to the article from This Is Money. You can do your own research. If you don't like it, take it up with them, not me. I'm just the messenger on this one. But it's interesting, because Volvo claims that carbon-intensive production for battery and steel makes the C40 EV more polluting to manufacture than its XC40 with a petrol engine. It says at current global electricity mix, it needs to be driven almost 70,000 miles, 9 years based on UK average mileage, to offset its higher production emissions. This can be reduced to less than 30,000 miles if EVs are charged using, and I'm going to put quotes around this, green energy. We're going to have a conversation about green energy in a minute. It has called on world leaders to accelerate the clean energy investment. Again, I'm going to put quotes around that because we're going to come back to this in a moment. Swedish maker is publishing emissions transparency report for all EVs released. Well done, Volvo. Another article that came out, and it was actually 2015, the BBC started the background for this particular article. So the article that James sent me was on a website called stopthesethings.com. And basically what they're looking at is the colossal impact to the environment of creating some of the components that are required by EVs, by fucking windmills that you see all over the countryside, the electricity generating windmills, solar panels and so forth. And there's a place in China called Boatou, B-A-O-T-O-U, and they are one of the only countries. Let me just read a couple of the points I've kind of snipped out of the article here. Now, this is not the BBC article. This is someone's independent kind of analysis of an article that the BBC did do. So behind every smug Tesla driving show pony, there's literally a toxic lake of sludge building up somewhere in another part of the world. Now, this is me talking about. I've thought this for quite a long time about London and the ultra low emission zones, because basically the Mayor of London wants to clean up the emissions in London. Actually, no, the Mayor of London wants to earn an enormous amount of revenue from people that have got no choice, yeah, and to hell with the rest of the world. My opinion. Every wind turbine, every all EV, every solar panel critically depends on a myriad of so-called rare earths. Okay, the minerals in question have become rare of late as a consequence of the Western world's insatiable appetite for the feel-good electricity generated by sunshine and breezes, occasionally stored in giant lithium batteries, as well as the thirst among the truly virtuous for the ultimate exhibition of moral posturing, the all-electric power vehicle. Okay. I don't know, it's not good listening, is it, for you guys that have bust your asses out there and think you're saving the planet by buying a fucking EV. Right, as the demand for rare earth minerals continues to grow, principally driven by subsidised wind and solar and all EVs, so does the mountain of toxic filth left behind during the mining and particularly the processing. So, oh my God, that is dry. That's dry. Didn't shut me up that all. Oh, I like that. Mine is dry. That is really good. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's very good. That's not a sinking it in one. That's, ooh, I like that. Right, so then he continues. So one of the rare earths is neodymium. It's worth taking a closer look at why China dominates most of the world's production, their share being estimated at over 90%. Neodymium is classified as rare earth. There's actually plenty of it. The real problem is extracting and refining it. And other rare earths is highly hazardous and a toxic process. If you look at this particular chemical, by the way, this is me talking again, not reading. If you look at the particular, it is deeply poisonous. It gets into your lungs, it gets into your liver, and it causes massive problems to humanity. But it's needed, apparently. Quite simply, few countries other than China are prepared to take the environmental hit. So then the author of this particular article then refers back to a 2015 BBC article published on Boatou, where these rare earths are mined. And again, I'll post the link to the BBC thing down below. Because you could see the lake on Google Earth. You don't have to, because obviously China's not particularly accessible for Google to do the street maps shit, but you can see Google Earth and you can see this lake, and it's, from what I can work out, it's 2.5 kilometres square of just toxins. But the city is massive, and it wasn't massive before they started the mining operations. So if wind turbines need the shit that's being mined and produced and destroying this area in Inner Mongolia, and has destroyed other areas in the world as well, up until the point where they decided they weren't prepared to take the environmental hit anymore for people that want to feel smug and sanctimonious. Now, I should stop this, by the way. If you bought your EV for tax reasons, for the tax breaks, then fine, okay, whatever. If you bought it because you think you're saving the planet, then I think you need to research. And there is information out there, and I just don't see it as the answer. I really don't. I'll emphasise again. And we had this situation in the UK here, where the government introduced a scrappage scheme where they took hundreds of thousands of perfectly usable, road legal vehicles off the road, so the owners could buy brand spanking new cars from the other side of the planet. It's fucking lunacy. Absolute fucking lunacy. And all these cars, none of them could be taken apart, dismantled and the parts. They were all crushed and then sent to another part of the world for processing on a ship that does 1 foot to the gallon of heavy diesel. The whole fucking thing has gone nuts now. For me, it's bloody obvious. Keep a machine running as long as you possibly can. If you can get the tax breaks and you understand the tax breaks to run an EV, fine, fill your boots. Can't stop you. Can't stop you doing anything you want to do. But if you're buying it because you think you're saving the planet, in my humble opinion, you're a fucking idiot. Walk. It's cleaner. Apart from the COs that you're emitting. And don't forget those nasty COs. They're killing the planet. But local councils and governments, you see, they've got an arrangement, because if you pay the fee when you go into an ultra low emission zone, then everything's fixed. You just have to pay to fix it. You couldn't make this shit up. You really couldn't. Anyway, back to the BBC article. Let me just see if I can get it up. Stupidly bought my wrong fucking glasses. We need to probably have a fuck tally, really, don't we? It's well worth reading the whole piece, but this paragraph sums it up. So this is the BBC journalist now. So the intriguing thing about both neodymium and cerium is that while they're called rare earth minerals, that was easy for me to say, they're actually fairly common. Neodymium is no rarer than copper or nickel and quite evenly distributed throughout the world's crust. Whilst China produces 90% of the global market's neodymium, only 30% of the world's deposits are actually located there. Arguably, what makes it, and cerium, apologies if I got these things wrong here, scarce enough to be profitable, are the hugely hazardous and toxic processes needed to extract them from ore and refine them into a usable product. For example, cerium is extracted by crushing mineral mixtures and dissolving them in sulfuric and nitric acid. This has to be done on a huge industrial scale, resulting in vast amounts of poisonous waste as a byproduct. It could be argued that China's dominance on the rare earth market is less about geology and far more about the country's willingness to take an environmental hit that other nations shy away from. Well, there you go. So we can have nice clean air and fuck the rest of the planet. That's the end of my script on that. I'll put, like I say, I'll post the links down below, and you know, don't shoot me down. I'm the messenger on this. I'm finding this information. It's being sent to me fairly freely. And yeah, and EVs are the way forward, and to argue they're not makes you sound like a complete idiot, doesn't it, Mike? Well, way forwards to a tax break, yes. Way forwards to saving the planet, I can't see it. I really can't. I really can't. Run a 30-year-old Range Rover, 4-litre Range Rover on petrol. It's going to be cleaner, cradle to grave, than an EV ever will be. And, you know, that's great if you're just, you know, using it as a taxi to buzz around one of these ultra low emission zones. Fantastic. But then you're charging it up using solar panels, and, you know, solar panels that have been made using rare earth minerals that have been processed using coal-fired power stations in China. It's good work there. You start to see where this thing starts to not fall apart, because it's not falling apart, but you start to see where this, it's just not, I don't believe it. It's, you know, scrappage scheme. Let's take your perfectly useful, usable 8-year-old car off the road and crush it without taking any savable parts off it and keeping another one on the road. No, we'll crush it flat, and then we'll send it to wherever, out of Mongolia, for processing, to turn it into a fucking Beco fridge or something. I like Beco fridges. They're cheap and they're cheerful. And they're happy. They've got big smiley faces on them, because they used to be cars. And then we will mine rare earth materials and process them using coal-fired power stations. And everyone moans about, you know, China firing up coal-fired power station every 12 seconds or whatever it is. I don't know. And yeah, then they can all pat themselves on the back and say, "Oh, bloody marvellous! Yes, you've got an EV." And I'm not going to single out any particular EV, because I think they're well. What we're seeing at the moment in the UK is we've got this, as they have in America, they've got this this massive lawsuit going on against various manufacturers for using cheat systems in diesel vehicles to try and make diesel vehicles appear clean. Well, I can see it happening in another 15 years' time. I can see EVs being in exactly the same position, because all these people that have been going around driving their EVs thinking they're saving the fucking planet will suddenly realise, oh my God, I've destroyed most of Inner Mongolia. Have another look at this, it's nice. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. So anyway, enough ranting about EVs. I couldn't give a shit. You want to drive an EV, you drive an EV. We don't ram it down, well, sorry, governments don't ram it down my fucking throat telling me that I'm dirty by driving a 30-year-old 4-litre Range Rover, because I'm not, as far as I can see. In fact, I should be given carbon credits back. They should be giving me carbons. Whatever they are. Anyway, I'm not a flat earther. I'm just not wearing the Emperor's new clothes. That's all I'm not doing. I just see through it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, enough of that bollocks. It is all bollocks. Oh, greenwashing. Yes, sorry, greenwashing and sheeple is two words that I kind of have been bandied around. But greenwashing, some of the eco kind of environmental activists out there are taking big companies to call. I can't remember which airline it was now, but a particular airline that said that they were flying and offsetting their carbon footprint by eating carbons or selling carbons to their customers. I don't know. Anyway, it was called greenwashing. And I think greenwashing is exactly what the entire EV industry is about. Greenwashing. Because people have just been brainwashed into believing that they're green. And I don't like the word green when it comes to environmental or saving the planet. I like, you know, reuse, upcycling. I like, you know, recycling. All these words. Green is the wrong word for it. Lose the word green. But greenwashing was a very, very good word, and I like that. And that's the way I see the entire EV marketplace. Now, if you've got questions, send them through to me. There needs to be questions, not just attacks or insults. Forget the attacks and the insults. I tend to ignore them. I'm pretty fucking thick-skinned, as you can probably tell. If you want to come and bang on my door, don't. Come and see me at my unit, yeah, pop in. If you want to hurl a punch at me, you know, expect the police to come banging on your door. They're my opinions. But if you've got questions, yeah, send them through. I'll do my best to answer them, and I'll answer them the only way I can, which is, you know, the way I understand things. And if people want to educate me into understanding a situation, if you are so desperate with rage with what you've just heard, and you want to correct me, then drop me an email. Point me to some evidence that corrects me. I'm happy to be corrected. I learn something new every single day of my life. And the day I don't learn something new, probably I'll snuff it. I learned that this minus cider is fucking beautiful. It is really nice. Mind you, I've had like 1.5 bottles of it. 1 3/4 bottles. I'm going to open that Winston, but you need to hang around while I open the Winston. Just a minute. Let me just chug this. Right, okay, so we've been through the sweet. Now this is the Winston. The one that used to be named Winter King because of its availability in winter. There we are. Anything will open a bowl. I probably should rinse the glass first of all, but I'm a heathen. As you guys are already shouting. You're all shouting at your computers or televisions. Hopefully no one's broken their television screen, because I'll have to go out and buy another one then. There'll be more rare earth minerals down the toilet. Another big chunk of it in Mongolia disappears for your desire to have the latest iFart. I'm going to burp. It's because I chugged that too quick. Sorry for that. Oh, right. Right, Winston. Now, how am I gonna pick it up with my, there we are. Let's try Winston. That is very different. That is really different. It's nowhere near as dry as the dry cider. It's definitely not a sweet cider. It's got a lovely aftertaste to it. A really, really nice aftertaste. I don't know how to describe it. I could do with Jenny Golden sitting on my lap telling me. I like that. I quite like that. I think of my favourites though, the dry is the one I would go for. Probably not going to drink any more today because otherwise I'm going to end up completely mashed. But I'm going to go sit on my patio now and enjoy this. But I hope you, well, I hope you're not too offended. And if you are, well, you shouldn't have watched it, should you? You really shouldn't. I did warn you if you're offended.